Good evening, folks. On this ninth day of September 2021 at 20 minutes after 7 in the evening. Another beautiful day here in the Dayton area. And today's stream, I have to tell you, is brought to you by the people that keep Red Thunder rolling, Storm Warn Weather Dayton going. Not that they give me anything, but their being there keeps me storm chasing. And that's Speedway, Meyer, Casey's General Store for the ethanol E85. It's also to Unit in America for the CB radio equipment, to ICOM USA and Anytone for the amateur radio equipment, to Element for the TVs that I use as the computer monitors and the TV, to HP and Lenovo for the computers that help run the Weather Center, to Chevrolet and Jeff Schmidt Auto for Red Thunder in the first place and keeping Red Thunder rolling. Jeff Schmidt Auto is a very good dealership. In fact, their service, I feel, is it's second to none. And as you might hear in the background, Mitternacht is milling about here. And what I can tell you is tonight's stream, well, first let's do this. Currently here at Storm Warn Weather Dayton headquarters, as I term it, 73 degrees outside, dew point of 51, it's 47% humidity. The barometer is 2997, and the wind is somewhat calm outside. No rain today. It's been a pretty decent day. Going to be pretty decent tonight, so Brian Davis, McCall Brightags, and Natalie Walters have said going to be down in the 50s, good sleeping weather, throw the windows open, shut off the AC. But anyway, coming up on Sunday, or I should say Saturday, I am sorry, 9/11, it will have been 20 years since that horrific day that we were suddenly and violently attacked. 20 people planned it, only 19 had the audacity to pull it off. There are words that I could use, but I'm not. I'm going to try and be above that. But in a nutshell, they did this. And there are conspiracy theorists, that say, well, the FBI was told. We knew about this. Well, the FBI might have known, but the FBI and even local law enforcement at times, somebody comes in and says, hey, I think somebody's gonna, and somehow or another it gets lost in the shuffle, and next thing the incident occurs, and somebody says, well, I tried to tell them 3 days ago. And in the process, they find out it got lost in the shuffle. On its way up the ladder to the people that would be the ones to say, go investigate this, it got lost, misplaced, it got whatever. So anyway, take you back to 9/11/2001 for me. At the time, I was working for Springfield Township in Springfield, Ohio. I was part-time paid EMT and basic and a volunteer firefighter. We got paid per call and such. I'd been doing it since 1989 for them. Had been certified as firefighter and EMT since 1977, right after I got out of high school. Was a cadet since 1975, until I got to the regular department. But anyway, in a nutshell, was working that job and also working 2 to 3 days a week at Papa John's in Urbana. I hadn't left and went to New Carlisle yet. So anyway, that morning I happened to be off work. I happened to be off both jobs. And I was laying in bed asleep because I tend to be the night owl. And in this, I was lying there asleep and the phone rang. And I had a cell phone, but it wasn't that. I had a home phone too, and one of my very good friends, which I've lost track of, I wish I could find her again because she is a most awesome person, and Ms. Julie Lauralee Laybourne. But anyway, in a nutshell, what occurred was I'm lying in bed asleep, and at about 8:55 a.m., the phone rings. I look over from the bed, I look over at the computer desk and see the caller ID, and I see it's Julie. And I'm the idea of, I'm not going to answer this, I'm wanting to sleep. So I roll over and I let the answering machine take it, and she hung up, no message. And I've always been one to tell people, if you're going to call me and I don't take the call, leave me a message. Sure, I can call you back, but it would be far better if I knew what you wanted me for in the first place. So anyway, she calls me back again. This time, when the answering machine took the call, I was screening the calls. She's screaming into the phone, "Get up, get up! We're being attacked! Get up out of bed!" I got up, grabbed the phone, and I said, "What are you talking about?" She said, "Turn the TV on, we're being attacked." And my first thought that went through my mind was much like what is, to pull a quote from The Dark Knight, I at that point in time had it running through my mind of who is stupid enough to attack us. Certainly not the Russians, certainly not the Chinese. They're not going to do this because, honestly, they know better. They may have the wherewithal, they may have the, pardon my language on this, the cojones to do it, but they wouldn't. So I get up, immediately get up out of the bed, grab the remote, turn on CNN, and I just turned something on. I didn't really worry about whether it was Fox, CNN, what. I'm just needing the news. And I turn it on, just in time to see the second plane hit the other tower. And at that point, I was sitting on the edge of the bed thinking, oh my goodness, we are under attack. We are going to be at war. Somebody has attacked us. We're going to end up in a war. Because I remember my history well. In fact, it's what I aced in high school. And I remembered back to December 7th, 1941, which was before I was born, but I remember back to the fact that the Japanese snuck in, flew over Oahu, and just basically kicked our butt. They seriously kicked our butt. And at which point I just sat there thinking for the minute, I've got to get dressed, just get a quick bird bath, but I've got to get dressed, and it's a case of I've got to figure out what I'm going to do. So before I go to the bathroom to get cleaned up and do anything else, I picked up the phone and I called my volunteer fire chief. And a little bit of background on this woman. She gave me a second chance. But a little bit of background. She moved here in the 50s from the Netherlands. Dutch is her primary language. She learned English by watching kids shows. But this woman had a head on her shoulders. And Deanie Meyer, may you rest in peace wherever you are, ma'am. But this woman had a head on her shoulders and knew, she was calm, cool, collected, knew how to take charge of things and make it happen. She was very well respected. She didn't take any crap off of anybody. She made things go. And I called her, and at which point she answered the phone, and I said, Chief, you may need to make a call downtown because I don't know what's going on, but if you turn the TV on to CNN or wherever, it makes no difference. We've just been attacked. And she's, what do you mean we've been attacked? And I said, they flew planes into the World Trade Center. I don't know what's going on. Everything's a mess right now. We know nothing. All we know is 2 planes hit the towers, and we know really nothing else. We don't know who's done this. We don't know what's going on. We don't know if there's stuff happening in other places. I don't know. I said, but I'm going to get myself together and such. Can you call downtown and find out if we're needed, what they would want us to do, or what's going on? Because I feel that word has already come from the federal government to the state government to at least the county sheriff's department. And if nothing else, at least let them know that you want to know what's going on. And so she did. She said she'd call me back. And so I went and got cleaned up and got things dealt with. And at the point in time, I was living with my elderly parents. I'd been in a bad relationship before and I moved out of where I was in Chillicothe and was going to move out on my own, but my parents back before that told me to come live with them. They could use some help, and they would help me out. So family being first, I made sure they were okay, told them what was going on. And my father, I remember, was out in the garage of the house that we had, and I ran out there with a shortwave radio. He had a police scanner out there that had the right crystals in it for the fire department, the sheriff, all this. I had what I needed there. But I ran out there with a shortwave radio and some speaker wire to make an antenna. And I grabbed the ladder, I ran outside the small back room of the garage that we had that he let me use for various things. And I opened the door, threw the wire out after getting it hooked to the radio and getting it plugged in, started wiring it up. He walked out and he was like, "What in the world are you doing?" And I looked at him and I said, "Dad, I'm hooking up an antenna to a radio here. We've gotten attacked." And he said, "What do you mean we've gotten attacked?" And I said, "Dad, we've gotten attacked." This man was born, before 1930. Anyway, I said, "They flew 2 planes into the World Trade Center. They said there's another one that flew into the Pentagon. I don't know what's going on. We don't know who's doing what." I said, "But, I'm trying to get information." And I had the scanner going. I said, "I don't even know if we're going to get called out," which he used to be a fire captain long years before, and such. He's the guilty party that got me into being a first responder. But anyway, what he did was standing there, and I said, "Look, I don't even know if we're going to get called out or what's going on. I may go up to the fire station later. I don't know. But Chief has told me to wait right now." So I had the cordless phone, which was with my number, and had my cell phone. And as I sat out there in the garage listening to the BBC and a few others talking about planes crashing into the Trade Center in America, that details were sketchy, that they didn't know, they were still finding out, I kept scanning, trying to find various radio programs, which the BBC and Deutsche Welle, and there were a number of shortwave stations putting out information. My father had a small portable TV, his battery operated AM FM radio and TV, and I had it hooked up, and it didn't matter which channel you turned to. It didn't matter whether you turned to Fox, CBS, NBC, ABC. There was a local station that ran 24 hours a day, ran Home Shopping Network. And even they were showing a news network, showing this going on. I was listening to the AM radio, listening to WLW, which for the southern half of Ohio is our primary entry point station. And for those that don't know what that is, go to Wikipedia, go to Google, look up primary entry point station, emergency alert system, and it will explain it all. But they're part of a network, WLW as well as WTAM in Cleveland, and WSM in Nashville, KDKA in Pittsburgh, I believe KMOX in St. Louis, WJR in Detroit. But anyway, they are the stations that FEMA gets a hold of first during a national emergency. And mind you, this was before our wireless emergency alerts and the presidential alerts you can't opt out of and such. And was listening to them, and they were broadcasting nothing but news, mainly national news, but they were trying to find out things. We were basically, all of us, mushrooms at the point in time. We knew nothing. All we knew was there were 2 planes hit the World Trade Center, and New York was a mess, that there was a plane that hit the Pentagon and DC was a mess, that they grounded all the air traffic. They had military jets in the air that, were to tell any airplane, land at the nearest possible airport you can land at, or else. They were patrolling the skies, figuring they might have to shoot down another plane. I just found out earlier on CBS Evening News that there were 2 pilots with the DC National Guard that didn't have time to put missiles on their planes, and they were told to fly towards United Flight 93, and if the plane wouldn't land and do what they wanted, that they would have to play kamikaze with it. That they would have to pull a Japan World War II pilot on this aircraft. That they would have to crash into it, kill themselves in order to do it. But they were willing to sacrifice their life. And thankfully, they didn't have to, because the people on Flight 93, it started with 1 or 2, but it ended up with everybody who decided, if we're going to die, we are going to die heroes. We're not going down without a fight. And that's Americans for you. We don't go down without a fight. We're not weak. We're not, how can I say it? We're not weak. We're not namby-pamby. We're a people that since 1776 has stood up for what we believe in, and every foreign attacker that has graced our shores or attacked us in any way, we went out and kicked butt. Granted, we went to Vietnam, we shouldn't have, in my opinion, and we ended up losing. But otherwise, it's what happened. They took down the plane. And my kudos to those heroes. May they rest in peace. But anyway, I'm digressing here. So as I sit there watching all of this, I made phone calls to other firefighters and EMTs and to my EMS chief, and what are we doing? Do we need to be at the station? What should we do? Talking with my chief, and she got back with me and said at one point that she had talked with the sheriff's department, who was our dispatcher, and the sheriff's department had called all of the county fire departments and told them to just stand by, that we were not needed, we weren't on alert as of yet, but to be ready just in case. Me being a prepper slash survivalist slash whatever you'd want to term it, I had my go bags, my go gear ready, had my vehicle ready to go in case I needed to go to the station, and grab my fire gear. And I sat there watching this unfold and thinking, who could have done this? Because we're going to war. And the last time that a president, put it this way, declared war properly, was when Roosevelt went before Congress on December 8, 1941, and said, I need you to declare war. After that, Congress sort of got pushed out of the way by presidents invoking various things for the ability to go to war. So I knew that we were going to go to war with somebody because we just got attacked. We have a president who is from Texas. And anybody that knows people from Texas, knows the state of Texas. I mean, even now with Governor Greg Abbott and such, whether you love him, hate him, what, not trying to put politics into this. But, George W. Bush, these are people that Texans are, in my opinion, the type people that are kind of like Chuck Norris and Walker Texas Ranger, in the regard that you might come up with a fist and punch them in the face, knock them down, but they're looking at you the whole time saying, you better hope that I do not get up, because if I do, you are had. And sure enough, that night, George W. Bush, come on, we will not falter, we will not fail. And off we went to get the people that did this. But during that whole day, I sat there thinking, what if we are being attacked? What if there's more people, planes coming in from somewhere? That maybe it's Russia or maybe it is somebody. I didn't know. I knew one thing, that if we were actually attacked, that there were planes, soldiers, a la Red Dawn coming here, I knew first and foremost that the Canadians would be across the border in a heartbeat helping us. In fact, to the people of Newfoundland and the Canadian government, I have to congratulate you for taking in all of the international flights that were on the way to America that had to be told, you can't come to the U.S., you're going to have to land in Canada. I know Mexico, did what they could. I know the Brits did what they could. Australia. Everybody was watching the U.S. that day to try and figure out what was going on because, well, they had to wonder, are we going to be attacked too? And I sat there throughout all of this thinking, if we are being attacked, where are they going to hit next? What's going to happen? How is it going to happen? And I've been told that I've got a pretty high IQ. I was tested at one time, it come up to 161, but nonetheless, I'm sitting there thinking, how do I do this? What do I deal with? I had my vehicle, my pickup truck ready to go. I had all the gear that I needed in it for what I needed in case the power went out, whatever. Had first aid gear. I had all that dealt with. I had my radio equipment. I was a ham radio operator. And I had that radio gear. I had my two-way radios for dispatch and such. Had my CB radios and everything. And really, truthfully, I had everything set and ready to go at a moment's notice. And all I could do was sit and watch the TV coverage, listen to the radio, and sit and wait. And finally, I got the idea, let's just go up to the fire station and sit. A lot of us did it at times, went up there and sat at the fire station and sit and watch TV, listen to the fire radio and stuff, and just in case a call came in, we were there. And I had just dealt with the year before, basically, with the Xenia tornado. And I sat up there watching the TV coverage and thinking, what if we get called out? We're going to be taking care of normal calls, but what if this is something and we're getting called out and it's bigger than what we normally deal with? All sorts of thoughts were running through my mind as to what's next. Are we possibly going to get nuked? And me growing up as a child of the 60s, I knew blatantly about the Cold War. I knew about duck and cover. I knew about the situation that occurred over the fact of Wright-Patterson being the third target that the Russians or whoever would hit if it was nuked. And, well, we were that close to it. I'm even closer now with where I live. But I sit there wondering this whole time. And as the day went on, it ended up that they were saying no more planes were flying, that everybody was grounded, that we had the 2 planes into the towers, the plane into the Pentagon, and the other crash in Shanksville. That all of these various aircraft had been grounded, that all 50 states, the state police, whatever, National Guard was all on alert, and it just basically did the thing of telling me, okay, it's going to be a long day. And luckily, the next day was off as well. And I stayed up late that night watching everything, watching the speeches and such, and thinking, how many people have died? How many are injured? How's this going to change us? Because it's going to change us forever. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? How are we going to respond? And I found out later, well later, that 3,000 people died in the Trade Center with both buildings going down, that 343 of my brothers and sisters, along with a number of police officers, all died trying to save others. But when I took that oath as a firefighter, I took that oath and took that badge. I put my name on a piece of paper, the same as what they do for the military. I put my name on a piece of paper that said, in saving the lives and properties of others, I am willing to give up my life and die if I have to, that they may live. And to this day, to all 343 of them, you died a hero. May you rest in peace. To the police officers, to everybody, you can all rest easy because we've all got the watch now. And even now, with my day job, to where I'm wearing a uniform and a badge and 10 pounds of gear, 16 pounds of body armor, 5 days a week to keep people safe. I earned my credentials. I earned the ability to wear that badge, to carry that handgun, to do the job that I do. And it's not something that I went into lightly. I went into it with the idea of people have to be safe. And if I have to give up my life that they might live, then that's what I'm going to do. But over my time as a firefighter EMT, and with what I do now, I've saved a number of lives. In fact, Memorial Day tornadoes, being an advanced weather spotter, storm chaser, kept 300 plus people safe during an EF4 tornado that was 1,000 feet away. I'm not a hero. I'm a person who is trained to do one thing: keep people safe, that they might live to go home to their family, to go down to their favorite restaurant tomorrow and eat, to come back to work and earn a living, that their family can have food and go to school and have a roof over their head. It's just who I am. There are a lot of people who will tell you I'm a very honest person. Sometimes I'm too honest with what I say, but I've been told, you don't say that. Yes, I do say it. I tell the truth. I shoot straight from the hip. And I can tell you, that day, I felt for a lot of people, it forever changed my life. Because I looked at it, well, after that if 19 people could get in here and take over planes and fly them into buildings, how many more people could slip in here and create a dirty bomb, create improvised explosive devices? Mr. McAuliffe or whatever, Oklahoma City, proved that. It's a sad fact of the world we live in, that now we have to watch our back everywhere we go. I tell people, always yellow to avoid red. When you walk into anywhere, look for the exits, know where they are. Don't be so absorbed in your phone or in whatever that you don't keep track of the people around you and what's going on around you. You may just walk into an active shooter event, a robbery, any number of things that could get you hurt or killed. And I tell them too about personal rule 26. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Get out, get away from it. Unless you absolutely have to be there to do this, leave. If it feels bad, leave. Come back at another point in time. Go to another store. Don't go in there for the purpose of, but I have to. Because I say, at that point, but you have to, do you have to go in and die? And I like to think that I've helped a lot of people out over time to where they're a lot safer, they're a lot better off, and 20 years ago, as of Saturday, 20 years ago, and I'm never going to forget a phone call at 8:55 in the morning, yelling at me to get up, get out of bed, that we were being attacked. I'm not going to ever forget any of that. It's permanently within my mind. And if nothing else, if I can share it with my 2 nieces, my 2 nephews, and Kylie, Keegan, Max, Emma, who weren't even born at that time. If nothing else, I can impart to them think about your safety first. It just, that particular day. And I know everybody was affected by it. If you were living at that point in time after that, you were affected by it. You have memories of it. You know where you were at that point in time and what you were doing. You know who you called. And I can make a bet that 99% of the people in this country at that point in time called their wife, their husband, their children, their parents, grandparents, but they all called and said, I love you. Some did it for the last time. Some in New York City walked out the door that morning thinking, just another day at work. I'm going up to this floor on the Trade Center. Got to get that proposal out to this company today. Others looking, well, got to deal with my customers today on their portfolio, see how the stock market's doing. And of course, the police officers and firefighters that showed up for their shift thinking, okay, what's today going to bring? Going to bring another bunch of overdoses, trash dumpsters on fire, police officers looking at it, wonder how many robberies and such, domestic disputes I'm going to have to deal with today. None of them ever realized that September 11th, 2001, at 8:52 a.m. and 8:46 a.m., none of them ever thought that their life would be forever changed. A lot of them looked up in disbelief, but just as quick as they looked up in disbelief, the radio calls told them it's real. And folks, I'm part Native American, and I can tell you, as far as 9/11, your memories and such, write things down if you can. Even pivotal moments in your life, write them down if you can. Pass them along to your children, your grandchildren, your nieces, your nephews, so that they can pass this along to their children, to their nieces, nephews, and grandkids. Let's keep the memory alive. 3,000 people and 343 fire and EMS personnel gave up their lives. Let's not in any way let that diminish and be forgotten. Because but for the grace of God, it could have been one of us in the Trade Center, in the Pentagon. It could have been one of us on that fire truck, that ambulance, in that police car, running in to save others without even a single thought of regard for our own life. Because for first responders, we don't think about our own lives in the heat of the moment. We think first and foremost about the people we're there to save, the active shooter we're there to stop, the grandpa's life that we're there to save from cardiac arrest. And to those who, after 9/11, and I know at least 2 people or more that did this, Rick and Holly, here's to you. You're the ones I'm thinking of, my very good friends. Both went and joined the military because of 9/11. And I can tell you, I'm very much thankful that they did. My kudos to them. They're some awesome people. And folks, with that, I want to conclude this by stating, be safe, be well, remember 9/11, never forget it, and folks, thank you.